Welcome, and today we're talking about the greatest threat posed to gamers since government. And that is the idea that you constantly have to be the greatest person ever in the game. All kinds of people get super toxic in games whenever you're not good. Now, I know that's part of internet culture, it's right up there with hateful tweets, anime, and making poor life decisions, but there are reasons why you shouldn't do this. So let's hit those real quick before we get on to why people do this. In smaller games, this will kill them. Games are constantly losing people no matter what you do, and they have to rely on getting new people to start playing in order to maintain themselves. Through one means or another, people will stop playing a game, and if they can't bring in more than they're losing, the game dies. You can boast how great you are at any video game ever, but if more people start leaving it than are joining it, then the game will die because it's not profitable to keep it running anymore. And most notably, games are supposed to be fun, and while you're out there complaining about how other people are playing, odds are you're not having a great deal of fun. And I know what some of you are saying, well, it's a ranked game, I want to win, I need to go up in rank. This may come as a shock to you, but if you're playing in the same game as someone who's doing really fucking awful, odds are you're not going to go pro because you've been playing for long enough that you're about where you're going to be rank-wise. I'm not saying you can't improve from here, I'm just saying that you're not going to be the next Faker. The chance of you ending up on a world stage after years of playing and still being in Silver League are virtually zero. So get off your fucking high horse because you're not actually going anywhere. Not to mention, you were a new player once too, and I'm willing to bet you didn't start out being good at the game. And even if you succeeded and everyone who was ever bad at the game and all new players stopped coming to the game, all that would be left behind in the game with you would be the people better than you, and there's always someone better than you. And while overcompetitiveness is a large contributor to why people are toxic in games, I think it's important to note that there's a reason people seem to be expecting you to be much better at the game than you really are. And when it's not because of competitiveness, it's because of professional streamers. All of the highest numbers of streaming on games is generally someone who has spent their life learning to be good at video games. They have literally made it their career to be good at them. And people only watch and share their stuff so long as they're being really good at them. And while I get it's tempting to watch someone be really good at something, it's fun to watch someone win. This creates kind of an unhealthy idea of what the people playing the game are supposed to be skill-wise. You watch streamers running around dominating the entire enemy team, you expect that from other people, and that's simply not what the average player is going to be able to do. Bear in mind, the vast majority of people playing video games are not streamers. And while I'm in games, streamers themselves seem to be exacerbating the issue. You can always recognize them because they'll plug their stream before every game, or they'll have a sponsored account, and they are almost always some of the worst teammates you'll ever find. They're constantly trying to get the play rather than actually win the game. And God help you if they're the reason why you're losing because they're doing bad, because they will make sure it is everyone else's fault that you're losing because they don't want to admit that they're not good at the game. Because they've got this idea in their head that a streamer can't possibly play or enjoy a game on stream unless they're really good at it. But even if they are good at it, that doesn't necessarily make them a good teammate. One of the worst teammates I ever had in Apex Legends had a sponsored account with Twitch written right on it, who immediately ran ahead of me and my other teammate. Now, admittedly, we were not as good at the game as he was, but the idea that he could run out without the rest of his team and still be okay is an absolutely stupid idea. It doesn't matter how good he was, and he was very good and efficient at looting, so good in fact that he stole shields and weapons and upgrades right out from under us in front of our faces, making us take just a bit longer at the areas we were at. Terribly sorry we were slowing down your speedrun stream. But then, after taking every piece of loot that could possibly be considered good, he flies off into the distance and starts pinging like a madman that there are enemies. We turn and start running towards him only to realize that he has already open-fired from his position, revealing where he is to start a fight with an entire other team. Unlike our team, they had stuck together, and no matter how good you are, 3 people with guns is better than 1 person with gun. Immediately upon getting downed, he left the game, didn't even wait to see if we'd get there to revive him. Again, he was better than us at the game, but it's a little ridiculous that he expected to win playing like that. It's a 3-man team. Play in some game that does solos if you want to run around solo. I absolutely promise you that you would have had better odds with 2 other people there than you would have on your own. And video games are not something that you should be locking out for only the great and the elite, the bourgeoisie of video gaming. That's one of the reasons why I enjoy Moist Critical and smaller streamers and VTubers, because they never come under the pretense that they're really good at the game. In fact, many of them constantly make jokes about how they're not good at the game. But the sheer mass of people watching streamers be really, really good at the game is slowly but surely damaging the market of gaming as a whole, because it becomes more and more toxic as more and more people think that that's what you're supposed to be able to do. So this will be your friendly public service announcement for everyone out there watching only the best of the best streamers, only playing the best of the best games, and only ever being the best of the best on their team. This is not a healthy way to enjoy games. Because one, it means you're not going to get any enjoyment out of a game that you aren't inherently good at, because you think you should be better. Because you think you're supposed to be running around the map ramming your weapon up every colon on the battlefield. This also means that you're going to get a lot more upset when you lose, because you think that you're better than that. When you, probably not making a career out of playing video games, or indeed playing video games anywhere near as much as the average popular streamer, are not going to have the practice put in to be that good at the game. So you'll start to attack your teammates, which will almost certainly get you to lose, because when your teammate isn't acting as a team, you lose. I have seen teams bring back victory from the chains of defeat, okay? Victory had gotten in the other team's car, flashed a condom, and was waving goodbye, and they still managed to bring that shit back. This will never happen if you're being toxic to your team. And then you'll walk out absolutely convinced that your team was the reason you lost, and it's simply not true a lot of the time. And don't get me wrong on that, I've lost due to my team before. I've lost because someone on my team was just having the worst game of anyone's life. And then they get really toxic about it because they think they're supposed to be better, therefore it must be someone else's fault, and or they're just angry because they're not doing well, because they have this perspective that everyone has to be some god at games in order to enjoy them. You should always be trying to win, and you should always be trying to do well, but constantly expecting victory is just not statistically viable. Not to mention completely ignored the fact that in any average battle royale game, there is a vast statistic majority chance that you are not the one walking away with the victory. I know, it's shocking and very, very uncomfortable for you to have to admit that. There's an unlicensed counselor from a high school with absolutely no credentials to back up his capability as a therapist in the corner of the room if you'd like to talk about it. But you know what? I've encountered all of these things, and it's not going to stop me from enjoying video games, but it will stop a lot of other people. And eventually your overinflated ego is going to come up against a wall against someone who's just better than you, and you're not going to be able to handle it, and it will kill your enjoyment of the game. Imagine if Cyborg was considered the baseline for combat ability in women. Not every woman is going to be able to fold your clothes while you're still wearing them. The perspective of the gaming community is far too focused on always being the best. But fun has become taboo and outlawed in the gaming community because it's all about the win percentage, baby. I, for one, am one of the archaic, strange people who actually watches streamers because of the content they add to the game, rather than watching them because they are good at the game.
If only I could shoot freaking beans.
Surrender.
No, I think I'm good.
Surrender. You can't win.
I feel like I probably can win.
Let you.
Frick!
How many times is he going to bring you back?
I'm so
Come on,
sad!
you can do it.
You know, the actual streamer's contribution, regardless of how good they're doing. As in the content added by them, as in one of the major arguments being used as to why it's legal for them to stream the game at all. Congratulations to the tryhards, the overcompetitives, and the people who think that you have to be good at video games to enjoy them. You have successfully turned one of the most popular forms of media on the planet into a job. And for the streamers out there who believe that the only criteria for becoming successful is to be good at the game, you have vastly misunderstood what exactly constitutes your content in the stream, and have misunderstood the purpose and objectives of what you're trying to make your career. So instead of being entertainingly angry in the comments or telling me about how great you are at games, tell me what game that you enjoy playing that you're absolutely trash at. I am at absolute best top of my game, probably low gold in League of Legends, but more realistically mid-silver. Lord knows I play planetside, despite the fact that my individual contribution to any one battlefield that can contain anywhere from 10 to 2,000 people is minuscule at best, and definitely not as helpful as the guy firing orbital strikes. Like, share, follow, comment, subscribe, please. I need more interaction. And thanks for watching!